This is a Sports Catastrophe production. Hey there, how there, ho there, it's Jeff Cutter Diamond. Welcome you to another Sports Catastrophe birthday boy. And the birthday boy for today, September the 28th, is a former number one pick in the NFL. I know that he's not the most prominent number one pick, or even the least prominent, Jamarcus Russell. But anyway, this guy was a number one pick, and he was a star in college. And you'll be thinking, well, you see the uniform, if you're watching this, you can see the picture of the Patriots. It's like, oh, he's a New England Patriot. Cutter's going to pick him. Not really. I knew he was a number one draft pick, so I decided, why not? So this guy actually played for 17 seasons, retiring at age 39, which is pretty impressive. This man is now 61 years old. His name, Irving Fryar. So Irving Fryar grew up in New Jersey and went to the University of Nebraska for 3 seasons. Doing quite well. He even ran the ball a couple of times for touchdowns, but 780 yards receiving and 8 touchdowns in the 1983 season, which Nebraska basically rolled over everybody until they ran into Miami in the Orange Bowl, one of the most famous Orange Bowls in history. Fryar was an All-American who played alongside Heisman Trophy winner Mike Rozier in the backfield and Heisman finalist Turner Gill at quarterback. Anyway, Fryar was the second wide receiver to be picked number 1 in the NFL draft, when the Pats decided in the 1984 draft to make him number 1 overall. Now the question on everyone's lips is, was that the right decision for the Pats to name him number 1? All that. So anyway, well, Houston drafted his Nebraska teammate Dean Steinkuhler for offensive tackle. Carl Banks was in the first round, Bill Moss, Wilbur Marshall, Keith Millard, John Alt, and Louis Lips. So I think they made the right move. The Pats made the right move. Anyway, he would be on a receiving corps that had Steven Starring and Stanley Morgan, perennial Pro Bowler. So he knew what he could do. He was basically the punt returner for the Pats. And Fryar was named to the 1986 Pro Bowl, the same year as the Pats made their surprise run from wild card to AFC champion, winning the AFC title game against the the Miami Dolphins, to go to the Super Bowl against the Bears and get their butts handed to them 46-10. But the good news for Fryar was that the only touchdown the Pats scored in that Super Bowl was his. A touchdown catch from Steve Grogan and all that. Fryar stayed on the Pats through thick and thin, especially the thin part, when the 1990 squad was 1-15. And he picked up his 1,000-yard receiving season in 91. So he was a Patriot icon for 8 years. Unfortunately, though, he would be traded to the Dolphins for a pair of high-end draft picks. But he made an impact, getting 2 more 1,000-yard seasons with the Dolphins. I remember him as a Dolphin only because technical Super Bowl for the Super Nintendo. But regardless, he did pretty well, a few 1,000-yard seasons. And then in 95, he was a free agent, and Philly said, we need a good wide receiver, so they picked him up. He went to 2 Pro Bowls with them. He would actually retire for a year after the 98 season, but Washington brought him back for 99-2000 when they basically wanted the 1990s All-Pro team in the year 2000. Fryar would retire in 2001 with 17 NFL seasons. Amazing. He got 851 receptions for over 12,700 yards with 84 touchdowns and 3-point return touchdowns. He has the most games played by a New Jersey-born player in the NFL in history. Unfortunately, though, Fryar's personal life, not so well. Fryar had many incidents. He actually injured his hand in a domestic dispute with his pregnant wife and missed the AFC title game. Fortunately for him, the Pats did win that game. He was arrested on weapons charges because he had a loaded shotgun in his own car. Irving Fryar had injured himself one game in 1986 against the Bills, and he had left the stadium and was driving his car through Foxborough and crashed into a tree and had a concussion. Fryar and his wife had 29 years of marriage and had 4 children. What's worse in 2015 was that Irving Fryar, alongside his mother, were found guilty of conspiring to defraud 6 banks. They wanted to fraudulently obtain 6 home equity loans over $850K. However, Fryar McGee said they were, well, his mother, Aileen McGee, said that they were victims of Barksdale. Irving's son London was signed as an undrafted free agent by the Giants in 2009, but didn't do so well. Unfortunately, though, they were convicted of mortgage fraud. And Irving Fryar went to jail for 5 years. Would have a 5-year prison sentence, and his mother would get probation. So anyway, however, luckily for Fryar, he only got 8 months before being released for good behavior. But he's cleaned up ever since. Prison will change a guy. Anyway, he has some NFL records. He has 19 touchdown receptions from 19 different passers, as in 19 different quarterbacks. Well, the main quarterbacks for the Pats were Grogan and Eason. The Dolphins were, well, Scott Mitchell, Steve DeBerg, and Dan Marino. Philly was, what, Randall Cunningham, Hockey Bucks. I don't know. Anyway, he was actually the first player to record a touchdown in 17 straight seasons, although Jerry Rice would break that record with 20 straight seasons with a touchdown reception. So yeah, 17 straight years with a touchdown. Actually, that's kind of awkward because he did retire for a year. He's actually the oldest player to score 4 touchdowns in a single game. Not just rushing, but receiving. Well, not just receiving, but rushing as well. October 1996, when he was 34 years old. And he has the 3rd most receiving yards in a half. The second half, September 94, in that famous Marino versus Bledsoe season opener in 94. Yeah, Irving Fryar was pretty good. He had the means to be the #1 draft pick, and he did pay debt to society. But you know what? All is forgiven? Probably not, but somehow, he's trying to fix things, and that's good. Anyway, I'm Jeff Diamond. I do